and welcome once again to the Rancher and Stilettos presents Cocktails and Conversations. I'm Marsha Williams Cromer, and my guest today, such an unbelievable opportunity to have you meet two of the original real ranchers that are dreamers from the Rancher and Stilettos book series. I want to introduce you to dreamer Charlotte Smith Brown. Hello, Charlotte, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Marsha.
So glad to have you here. And of course, we are Cocktails and Conversations. So cheers.
Cheers.
Second dreamer, my friend Pamela Williams is here to talk to us all about the books. And not only that, kind of give you guys some insight into what it's like to be one of the real dreamers. Of course, those of you who have read all the books know that the dreamers are the friends that I've had since kindergarten. And when I decided to write the book, The Rancher Stilettos, the main character was really the group of friends. There's Zaid, of course, the rancher who is in New York and moves back to her parents' ranch. But she comes back home because she needed the support of these friends, the dreamers that she'd known all of her life. And as you can see, they aren't fiction. That part is real. And the dreamers, though I use some literary license, are actually six of my friends, or five of my friends. I make the sixth one, who I've known all my life, and we absolutely love and adore each other. Met in kindergarten, and it just kept going and growing. Anyway, I just want to give you guys that background, and now I'm going to introduce these girls in a way that allows you to hear what they think of the books, The Rancher and Stilettos. Charlotte, everybody loves Charmaine. This is the Charmaine that you are reading about. I will confess that probably 75% of what I say she is in the book, she really is not, which says a lot about humanity, that everybody loves Charmaine because Charmaine is actually that person who has no filter. She just kind of tells it like it is. Charlotte, what do you think about how your character is portrayed as you compare it to yourself?
I am horrified. My girlfriend has me looking like a hoe.
You know what? And we're still friends, so clearly you know who's all in love and me writing the book and the story. But I do feel like in our group of friends, you are that person who just like is a straight shooter. You know, I mean, honestly, you don't like dance around the topic. If there's something that you see that's out of order, or people need some encouragement, or maybe even just hard truth, you are that girl, you know, and you don't even really see it as something about feelings. It's just you want to inform people so that they can know better.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
My children hate me for it. And I think just telling people the truth is more beneficial.
Right.
Because you can blow smoke up somebody's butt and have them going in a different direction. And it's your fault if it doesn't turn out right. Because you didn't give them good instructions.
Right. And if you give them that direction and they decide not to take that advice, okay, no harm, no foul, right? It's on them. But at the end of the day, you're giving that advice based on the fact that you love them and you want to see better for them. And sometimes it's like, oh, gee. Yeah. I mean, like the times that I might show up in an outfit that's a little bit, that you don't understand where I'm going. It's like, okay, really? But anybody. And I think that you will step up, and you're not talking about them behind their back. If you have a concern, case in point, your daughter's 30th birthday party, that I had to basically pull her into the corner and say, that's your mom. She loves you. She wants the best for you. But she was looking real grown that night. And Charlotte had, some issue with it. And what did I say? I reminded you of that it's her 30th birthday party.
That's right.
Let it go. She's already at the party. And you were so in mama mode with her. And we ended up having the best time that night because you kind of like took a deep breath and like, look, she's already here. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
And by the way, her daughter is absolutely gorgeous. She's got 2 children that are my heart, and she has raised 2 amazing adults now. And we've all watched them get to this point to be able to say they are soaring. They are absolutely soaring.
Hallelujah.
That's right. What about you, Miss Pamela? How do you feel about Peyton, the character that you're loosely based
I absolutely love my character.
on?
I do believe that, I mean, it's not exactly me, but a lot of it is me.
It is.
And but the real thing is, I just want to be able to say this, and I'll probably say it at the end too. I'm just honored that I have a friend who's an author who is living her dream. And we talked about her writing and going to Paris and living in different places. And I've been able to witness and live through those places because we're the dream
Right,
circle. And I'm just so fortunate that there are 6 of us phenomenal women,
right,
Black women,
right. And that's for real.
who don't have a problem talking about what is going on in the world, and also making sure that we're honest with one another, like Charlotte just said. And because we love each other, we know it's coming from a heart.
Right.
So the book, I think, was a labor of love. And I appreciate that.
Totally, totally. I struggled initially, and the first copies of the book went to the 5 of you guys. My goal was, you know, the love I have for you. If you weren't behind this book, I had to change it. If you had issues with it, and everybody just read it and loved it, you know, and then just to even know some of the little nuances and stories that kind of creep in there that are the truth, because a lot of my truth is in there, you know, for real. But I appreciate the support, and it took a lot of pressure off of me that I could just write it and not have to, you know, worry about, you know, hurting somebody's feelings. And one of actually my writing coach, Brian W. Smith, is the person who reminded me it's fiction. You're writing the story, and you have to take yourself out of it, because it was almost like I was writing about myself, because you know you write about what you know. So a lot of that was included. And Brian was like, I think you are getting confused between yourself and your characters. Best advice ever.
Books were, I mean, I enjoyed reading them because I'm not Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many other things going on. But once I picked the first book up, I couldn't put it down. I almost was upset that somebody interrupted me while I was trying to read it. And then I just could hardly wait for, you know, the second book to come out. And then, to my surprise, we had a third book. We got a third book.
Right.
I was excited about that. And I just think that it really, I'm just honored. I'm honored. I've talked to so many friends, and to have someone to think of you enough to even have characters about your friendships, even though it's fiction.
Right.
And loosely about us. By the way, y'all, it's G for grown.
Right. Absolutely. Don't get it twisted.
It's
totally G for grown.
Which I love.
So your own personal characters, you're cool with those. Favorite characters as you read the book, who is the character? I mean, obviously you're gonna gravitate to your own character, but I'm curious, who else did you like the storyline for? What did you think?
Well, Zayd is my favorite. because I know you,
Right.
I see a lot of that in you, but that person is a very, I mean, she's just a phenomenal woman. She's strong but then she's vulnerable.
Right.
And that's all of us.
Right.
You know, so I feel.
Charlotte, I'm gonna ask you, you probably spent the most time out of the ranch. So, one of the things that I had hoped to do was shine a light on the fact that that part is real. I mean, you guys have spent time out there. So, you brought your kids to ride horses and to have that part of my life out there as the history that it is. What did you think about that?
I thought it was just really uplifting, and especially Black people coming from Huntsville, Texas, and a lot of us hadn't been on a ranch. A lot of us didn't live on ranches,
Right.
and a lot of us didn't have the access that we did.
Right.
So it was like, really exciting
Right.
to see that.
And then be able to bring your kids out there, and let's talk about one of your kids. Let's talk about my godson, who was born loving horses.
That's right.
And for me to be able to spend time with him on a ranch, that I think that was a really cool bonding opportunity for us. And to this day, we still talk horses. We were just talking about a horse that he just bought recently, Serafina. And after finally, I guess finding his way to understand, and I've always told him how expensive owning a horse is. He can afford a horse now. How about that?
Isn't that wonderful?
That is just a blessing all the way around.
True.
That he went from wanting a horse he couldn't afford, a $24,000 jade horse that he saw on the street in Atlanta, to realizing over time through hard work, he's able to now, afford living in the city, someplace to board his horse, go out and see the horse every day, ride his horse. I'm so proud of him.
I am too, but because he always wanted a horse, and I was trying to feed him, so that was not
Exactly. Exactly. But in the book, you have two kids. Or Charmaine's character has two kids, and you in the book are really a single parent. So you're at an age where you got these young kids, and you're still navigating, dating relationships and how you can juggle and have both. You got a high-powered job. You're in the business Dream Threads with the Dreamers, and you're raising two kids. Some of that is for real. What was it like to actually see yourself kind of shining back at yourself and recognizing the respect that I have for you to be able to do all of that and be able to look back and see that your kids are okay now?
Now that was phenomenal, because when you're in it, it seems like never ending, grueling. Will this ever be over? It's not fun. But then when you get down the road and you realize that all of your efforts paid off, it's really rewarding.
Well, and you worked so hard, Charlotte, to be able to afford such a good life for those kids. I watched them get to do things and travel, even at a young age. They had their own luggage, they were the first kids I knew that had their own little wheelie bags, because if they were coming, they had to be self-sufficient. Yeah. Pam,
Yes.
you are also a real warden. Talk to us about what it was like to be basically one of the first African-American women wardens in the state of Texas, and how that came about.
First of all, it wasn't a goal of mine. Sometimes you grow up. We lived in what they called at that particular time, Huntsville was Prison City. And one of the things that I said, coming from parents who were educators, is that, oh man, I will never work at a prison. well, don't ever say what you'll never do.
Right, right.
And so there was just different opportunities. I went to college in Huntsville. We had the #1 criminal justice department. And I got interested in criminal justice. And of course, I had family members who were on both sides of the
And
criminal
role
justice.
models, you know?
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And just some golden opportunities came up, and I was in the right place at the right time. And I also believe in a higher being.
Mm-hmm.
And I just believe that God ordered those steps. And I was able to become a warden, basically running through four prisons, to be honest. And sometimes I pinch myself because I can't imagine being that person. But I do believe that because of my upbringing
Mm-hmm.
and the friends that I surrounded myself, you know, what's real, even in the book,
Mhm.
is that dream circle was real.
Right.
And so
Right.
when you
Totally.
the environment that I was in was predominantly male.
Mm-hmm.
So I had these 5 other strong women that I could go to. So that helped me
Mm-hmm.
a lot. But my parents are God-fearing people. And so I was just in the right place at the right time. And Governor Ann Richards is a person that I call.
And Richards, oh my God, you gotta tell that story. That's amazing.
When back in the early 90s, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice was going through just getting larger because the counties were just full.
Mm-hmm.
And they were threatening to
And by counties, you mean the county jail.
the county jails.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. The county jails were full, and so with our offenders,
Mm-hmm.
because we had no place for them, so we were in a building position, and they needed, because we were building so many units, they needed wardens, and the governor wanted to make sure that everybody was represented, because it was not a diverse group of
Right.
people. And so she requested, some lists to make sure that, and those lists consisted of people by gender, people by experience, people by education. And so luckily for me, I was one of those people that fit quite a few of those, the things that she was looking for. And I had the experience that was important too. But it's just leadership. In order to lead, you got to be able to follow as well. And I just took a lot of pride in positions lower than being a warden, in making sure that I was there for my folks. And so my leadership put my name in the hat. And the rest is history.
That's an amazing story. I mean, honestly, for young Black women to even hear that they're passing by those buildings every day, and there are people who look like them who actually are running, part of the prison system themselves. They have been elevated to that level. And because that was in our hometown, it's commonplace. We know several Black people who have been able to elevate within that institution. And you, Charmaine, proud of you, girl. Proud of you. Just a freaking baller. Okay, and I remember you saying from like high school, you were gonna go to pharmacy school. And I don't think you were ever sugarcoating the fact that the reason was you saw it as a path to financial prosperity. Talk about your journey and how you started out coming out of pharmacy school to, working in at the Walgreens of the world and CVS's and all that. And where you are now?
Well, first of all, I had a choice. Let's see, I looked at engineering, which is a lot of math. I love math.
Wrong. That's so wrong.
Med school took too long.
Right. Right.
I looked at pharmacy school and it was like, And they don't have a pharmacy school in South Houston. That is
There
where
you
I'm
go.
going.
Okay, okay, all right. So you had to leave home. In other
Exactly.
words. Right.
I planned it from the 10th grade.
Right.
I'm going to have a plan to get out of Huntsville.
Right.
So that was my
Not
goal
to
at the
say
time.
that Huntsville is by any means a bad place to live. I think it's an awesome place to grow up, but opportunities to expand your life just weren't there unless you were an educator or which would mean, the school system or the college. Or you were able to be a doctor or something like that. But at that time when we were growing up, professional track careers we just didn't see other than preachers or school teachers and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I think all of us were that first generation that said this, we want to do different things.
Right.
And our parents were raising us to want things that way.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was for me, it was just an opportunity to go and explore the world. And of course, Marcia went first to UT Austin.
Yay, hook
And
'em.
then one of my best friends that I had grown up with, and she was like a sister to me, 4 years older than me. She got married to a military guy and moved to Killeen, Texas. So while he was stationed at Killeen, she lived in Austin. So I was like, I know one person that my folks would let me go there.
Exactly. Yeah, because they were super protective. All of our parents were.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I called Deborah like, you got a room for me because I'm coming to Austin.
Right. Just super determined.
Yeah.
And that just reminded me of one other thing, how you talked about your parents being protected that way. I think that's one of the other reasons that it was easy for us to remain close friends because our parents didn't mind us being friends with their friends. So
Right.
and basically we became friends because our parents were all friends with each other. That's one of the benefits of I think growing up in a small town.
Right. So I moved to Austin and I went to pre-pharmacy and then pharmacy school, accepted in the School of Pharmacy. And then from that, I transferred to TSU, School of Pharmacy in Houston. And that was very challenging, but I survived. And after that, I started working, CVS, Walgreens.
Right.
Well, it was called Acre Drugs at that time. And that was during the time where we used typewriters.
Okay. The dreamers in the book are in their 30s.
Oh,
We are not. I'm just saying. Okay.
and it was also a period of time where I would have on a white lab coat with a name badge that says pharmacist. And people would come to the counter and ask if they could speak with the pharmacist.
Right. And you got
And
the
my
badge
reply
on.
would be, yes, may I help you?
Yes.
And they would insist
Oh,
on speaking with the pharmacist.
right.
So,
Assuming that a real pharmacist would have to be someone that was Caucasian.
exactly,
Yeah.
a white male.
Yeah.
But we lived through that.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the Kelsey-Sebo's and Harris County Hospital District, and that was definitely my learning curve. If you can work there, you can work anywhere.
Okay.
So from there, one of my best friends in pharmacy opened up his own pharmacy, and he asked me, what will it take for you to come work for me?
Right.
So we agreed on a salary and the rest they
I
paid.
know, and you on your own pharmacy now. Man, proud girlfriend. Yeah, that's a toasting moment right there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
it
so
was a journey, but it was worth it.
well, and I think that one of the reasons also that we maintain a strong relationship is because all of us challenge ourselves. And one of the key things with the women in the book even is they can't be scrubs. You know, it's hard to be a scrub around people who are soaring because you're gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna make you feel like you're out of your comfort zone. And we intentionally sought that discomfort. And for anyone who's gonna grow, I think you have to have that. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's my perspective. Pam?
I went through something similar to Charlotte. When I became a warden, you know, on weekends we would work and the families would come to visit. And if that was an issue, if that was my weekend to work, the staff would come in and say, you know, this family would like to visit with you. Or I would receive a telephone call. And on that call, they would say, well, I want to speak to the warden. And I would, you know, answer, this is Warden Williams. Well, I really need to talk to the real warden.
Okay.
Or I had a couple of times, and probably more than I would like to admit, where they said, well, you sound black, which I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
Okay, I'm country. I get that.
Whatever. Whatever. Yeah.
I want to talk to the real warden. So I would send that call to the assistant warden, and whatever they were requesting, the assistant warden had to tell them, well, I need to get with the warden. And then the call would come back to me. So that was an eye opener. You know, you just think that we are past that, but we were not, and it was okay. You know, if it's gonna help the family to understand the situation, or if it was gonna help the offender in some way, then I would let them do what they needed to do. But it always came back to me making that decision.
Yeah, but that's leadership. You know, just like Charlotte was saying, you know, this is a situation where I could be emotional about it, or I could just turn into the leader that I've been, you know, I was born and raised to be, because it's all inside of us. And just live up to that and make those decisions that make other people kind of small, you know, and that is because they don't want to recognize the power that you have. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about the power of Black women. Lord have mercy. I had a mama, y'all. Oh my God. Burn. Burn, you know. And I think with my mom, because she looked nice and delicate, but don't get it twisted. No. It was some sailor in Burn, okay? And she was not going to, two things that I would say that I appreciate the most about my mom is, as a female and a Black female, she was not gonna allow me to have low self-esteem. My mother was fair complected, she had beautiful hair, and she married a brother that was super chocolate, and you know, me and Cecil, that's my heart. But I remember telling her once, you know, I wish I had good hair like you, Mom. And she said, good hair is hair that covers your head. Okay. And after that, I'm like, if she feels that way about me, then I gotta feel that way about myself, you know? And I'm not saying that that's everybody's story, but I'm saying that we have all got a story of how our parents had to raise us up out of a place that they found themselves in and they weren't gonna tolerate it for us. Thoughts?
Yeah, especially education. You know, I have a mother that was valedictorian of her class, never went to college. And I think she regretted that. So she was very keen on education because she was very smart herself and didn't, I don't know if she didn't have the opportunity or just didn't take the opportunity.
Right.
To live out her dreams. So I think she probably lives vicariously through me.
Oh, trust me, darling. We all do.
Thank you.
It's all good. And you know what? I think for us because we had more role models that we could see stepping out of their comfort zone and trying things. Mine was an aunt. My Aunt Dolores, when I was a kid, she's the only person I knew that went outside the country for anything. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. I don't even know why. And then as I got older, I would read about other Black people who lived in different countries and probably decided somewhere around 10 or 12, I want to live in Paris one day. I want to at least travel there. And that was because of seeing her take those steps. And she grew up in a more rural area of Texas than I grew up. But every single one of them, my mom was one of 7 kids, and there were 4 girls. Every one of them got a degree. And the way they did it back then,
awesome.
absolutely. It's you know what, that's a toasting moment right there. Okay. Yep. And the way they did that was family who already lived in the city would reach back and pull one of them out, and help them to get into college and get, have somewhere to stay, possibly even help them get a job because, they were going to have to do some kind of work. And back then, most of that was what they call days work, where they were maids to people who, they, go to college, school during the day, and maybe babysit somebody's kids at night, or were maids during the day to make their money. So I've got one that was a dietitian, my mom an educator, my Aunt Dolores an educator, and my Aunt Laurel a nurse, registered nurse. So those were my role models. And the other cool thing about them is that, I'm 6 feet tall. All of them were tall women. So I was almost a teenager, like 12 or something, before I realized that we were different, And I kind of thought you guys were gonna grow up eventually. You were just taking longer to grow up. I didn't realize that you were just like not gonna get tall. Because everybody in my family was tall. Right. That I didn't know anything different. So, but the other piece to that is, we talk about how we label people because of how they looked. And because I was always the tall kid, the teachers always assumed I could lead, I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. So, but because they treated me that way, I end up kind of in that role, whether I'm really qualified or not. But then you become qualified because someone's giving you a task. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So we've got men in the Rancher and Stilettos. Who are our favorite men?
Nash is my guy.
Yeah, he's my guy too.
He's my guy. We were fortunate in Huntsville, like you said earlier. It's a smaller town,
Right.
And so everybody knows everybody. But we had some guys in our class who were always there.
Brothers, straight up brothers.
Straight up
Absolutely.
brothers, that's right. And Nash, that character,
Yeah.
is truly represents not just one particular person, but kind of a combination in my mind of several guys.
Yes. And if you recall, at the end of the second book, the first book rather, at the end of the first book, the dreamers are talking to each other and they kind of get together. Corey overhears they talk about having, an affair with Lane, her old boyfriend. And the person that is the hardest for her to take the harsh comments from Miss Nash. She could put up with what everybody else said. The dreamers have their opinion. Some of them are like, well, he is fine. Let's just keep it real. But they're harsh with her too. Nash is almost like a parent figure. And he assumes a brother figure and then a parent figure. And when she lets him down, it's like she let all her family down. And she goes a whole day, he's not talking to her. And he even knows he's got to let her see it's okay. That, and she needs him to forgive her. And I've had those relationships. In fact, Nash, is based on one of our silliest friends in the whole wide world. Yes, I'm talking about you, Timothy Mast.
We love you.
Yes, we do. But that relationship was just, I think, at the core of, her being stable even in life. Because she had him as that foundation of a guy friend. They were really like brother and sister. They kind of were raised together. And for her to be able to count on him, and he doesn't even really judge her. I think
Not at
that
all.
one time when she cheats, he's not judging her, he's just disappointed. He's disappointed because he has not loved the other men that have come through. And he reveres her, he looks up to her, and he kind of approves of Corey, the guy that she's with at the time. And she messes that up. And he just is like, okay, I'm done with you women. Y'all say you want one thing, but now, you dealing with this dude that really is just a player.
Right.
And he even gets with Lane, a couple times. Lane just thinks he's just a big country boy and he's out of his league. He's out of his league on so many levels. It's not even funny because that guy, the Nash guy, truly loves her. And Lane is still trying to figure out if she is the person he wants to be with, because as a Black working man in the world with opportunity and financial resources, the world is his oyster. So he takes full advantage of that, hoping that he can keep her on a back burner until he's ready for her. But yeah, he shows up in some occasions, the national relations. So let's also talk about the main guy. How did you guys feel reading about this interracial relationship that your friend was in? And not that you didn't know about it. And I'm sure, well, I will just say this one over here. Probably spent the most time on the road with me, when we were, in our 20s and 30s. So I don't know that it surprised Charmaine that Zayd was in different type of relationships that we didn't grow up around. But I think Charmaine was open to it, but she was also judgmental about it. I think that until she found out the benefits. The bennies.
Okay.
When the bennies started to flow and they flowed down to her, then she was just on Team Corey.
Absolutely.
What would you say, Ward Williams? Did
I
you
was-
like Corey?
I liked Corey because I just think even in real life, and when you are in relationships, it takes a lot of, not a lot of different relationships, but it does take being in a relationship with different people and being at a particular place with those people in that relationship to really understand at the end who you
Right,
and to find out if they are really there for you,
Right,
the person,
right,
or are they there just because you look good on their arm or whatever.
right.
I think that Zayd flipped the script
Okay.
because most of the time it's the male when you're reading some who cheats, and it was Zayd.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Zayd is fictional,
Right.
but it came from a place of understanding. And it's interesting that every book, though it's part of a series, as I'm writing from where I am. And by the third book, oh my Lord, I was in one of those places where I was over everybody. And one of my friends, Luana, actually wrote about it in a review. She's like, Zayd is over everybody. And that was kind of life where I was making some choices for myself. And I think at that point it was making decisions that actually she ends up buying the dreamers out of the business. And she wasn't like upset with them about the fact that they couldn't invest the time that she was investing. She just realized, and they told her straight up, sure, I'll be an investor, but they really weren't in a position to do that full time. So at the point that she realized, hey, everybody can win here, just pay them back the investment dollars that their investment increased substantially. Okay, so she started wrapping up some, things that tied up loose ends. Yeah. Char, any other comments about Zayd's progression?
I think that's probably a natural progression.
Right.
Correct.
Because everybody, they're not at the same place that you are.
Right.
And especially with finances. And sometimes you can want more for other people than they want for
Oh,
themselves.
right.
So therefore, you have to let them go.
Yeah.
And love them where they are.
Oh my God, and we spend so much time, and now I always try to check my motivation when I'm helping someone. Am I helping them because I can't stand to see them in that place? Or am I helping them because I think it's where they need to be? Or am I really looking at what they want, or is it what I want for them?
Right.
And it's okay if they don't want it. And if you don't make that decision sooner than later, you end up so far down the road with the project with them, you almost gotta see it through.
Right.
And that can just take forever. And if the investment started with you, and that's usually where it ends, because everybody wants to have the life, but they don't get, oh my God, they don't even get what goes on. It's like that thing about the ducks floating on a pond. You don't see how much they're kicking underneath that water.
That's right.
And then you give it to them, they don't have the same appreciation for it.
That's the same attachment to it.
Right.
They see the glory, but they don't know the story.
Exactly.
They don't want to know the story.
No, they really don't. They really don't. It's like, this is working for both of us.
Right.
When it's really not working for you. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna own my own culpability in whatever actions I take. If I can see and be honest with the fact that they didn't ask for that, I thought they should have it. So, I rolled out and, presented them everything I thought they needed, but I would have to work now to keep that going.
Right.
And you run out of juice. Because typically they're not the only ones. Okay, that one person, multiply that by 5 or 10,
That's right.
and it's exhausting.
You can give people stuff.
Right.
And if they don't want it or they don't have a desire to keep it, then you're just defeating your purpose.
Right. And now the way I approach things with helping others is I feel like I can donate to any charity of choice.
Right.
The feeling that I'm looking for is helping others. There are charities out there that don't even need to know I'm helping them, and I can get the same feeling of well-being that I'm able to help somebody and wanting to help somebody, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Ladies, I can't thank you guys enough for joining the Ranch and Stilettos Presents Cocktails and Conversations. I do want to ask that you share your favorite book, and I will just let everybody know we picked our own books. Mine is book 3, Shar has book 1, Pam has book 2. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you like and share this video. We're so glad that you joined us today, and we appreciate you. Mad love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers out.
Yay.